Last week I had put up a couple of videos about my thoughts about what I was seeing in the market, and the feedback was quite positive. I was surprised, and there was a general request for me to put up some more videos about my thoughts. So, okay, I will for as long as you find it useful. One of the things that I like to look at, especially in the stocks that I own, are insider purchases. When I see insiders buying a lot, it makes me feel comfortable. Now last week, well, I don't have to tell you what happened last week, right? Lots of stuff went on sale. I say on sale because how I look at it is it was a great buying opportunity for the type of investing I do. Maybe some other people had some ideas that maybe they weren't on sale enough. I think I've mentioned this in other videos as well. I primarily play in the REIT space. I like income investing, and I like buying not top tier REITs all the time, second tier REITs. I like that because there's some upside potential there. Insider purchases is a signal. It's a signal that management sends to the market that they have faith in their company stock, that perhaps their company stock is undervalued. So you can send that signal in a number of ways. So when I see an insider purchase for 5,000 shares of something, well, I don't get too excited about that because that could just be a way to signal to the market that you believe that your stock is undervalued and you're hoping to push it up. But when you're committing significant dollars, that's when I want to take a look at that. So on the screen is a segment of an email that I get pretty regularly from my broker. I use Interactive Brokers, and I get lots of good information from that. If you're not getting good information from your broker, you might want to look at Interactive Brokers. And by the way, I don't get paid by anybody for saying anything that I do. Everything that I say is my own thoughts. I use Interactive Brokers. I've been using IB for I can't even remember how long now. I like it because I can do everything all on one platform. I've got derivatives, I've got Forex, equities, more and more bonds are showing up online. I can do a lot of that stuff. Futures, I can trade any market anywhere in the world. If you pay the fees, there's always fees. If you pay the fees, you can trade any market in the world. I don't need a separate broker for Forex. I don't need a separate broker for options. I don't need a separate broker for equities. So that's why I like Interactive Brokers. All of the, I'm going to show you some charts in a few minutes on a couple of these stocks that I have listed here. All of the interface that I show you that I use is always Interactive Brokers, in case you're wondering what I use. And if they have a YouTube channel, so if you search for Interactive Brokers on YouTube, they've got lots of videos about all the functionality that they have. So I feel no need to make videos about the functionality of IB. They've got lots. So you can have a look at what they do. Just type in Interactive Brokers into YouTube. You'll find their channel. They got lots. And I think you'll be impressed. Not only that, the cheapest fees, trading fees that I found anywhere for what I get. So that being done, this is what they send me. And if you notice, sometimes I'm always looking down. It's because I use a Cintiq. If you're wondering what I'm using to put on the screen, it's a Cintiq, CINTIQ, and the screen is flat on my desk. So let's have a look. I've got 4 of them up here. ABR, APTS, which is an apartment REIT in the U.S. It's got some issues with it. It's a broken stock. The jury's out on whether I think it's a broken company or not. I don't know. I have a small position in it just to be part of it, but the jury's out on this one so far. HR, again, that one is a Canadian one. I'm on the fence on that one. It's interesting. I think that it has a good future. Currently, it's middle of the road. And then TNT. So ABR, I really love. I've been in that for years. TNT, I've been with that one now for 3-4 years now. Anyways, look at the size of these purchases. 75,000 shares, and this happened on March 9th. and the average price on March 9th was about $10.60 on the purchase. So that's $800,000. Now I want you to think about that for a second. Do you need to spend, if you're the CEO of this company, do you need to spend $800,000 to signal to the market that you have faith in your stock? Couldn't $80,000 have done it? If you're going to spend $800,000 in the span of a day, $800,000 to buy your own stock, wow, thank you. That's a great signal to me. I have faith in that as well. I'm going to show you the chart of ABR in a little while. Now, I should be clear about ABR. Part of its revenue stream is tied to the interest rate. And the lower the interest rate goes, that means its revenue stream does take a hit. If you have access to my site in the Applied series, I did 2 videos purely on ABR's business model and understanding where all the revenue sources come from. And the float is where they make interest income from. Well, when rates go down, that interest income goes down. So I don't expect them to return to where they were, but we'll look at their chart in a few seconds. I think they're massively oversold at this point, and so do the insiders. $800,000. Now, if I wanted to signal something, if I'm the CEO of this company and I want to signal something, and I didn't really have faith, I would be thinking, well, can't I do it with 40,000? Can't I just talk it up? Can't you book some investor shows for me somewhere and I'll show up and I'll talk up the stock? Well, do I have to spend $800,000? No, of course not. So I like that. The next one, APTS, 59,000 shares on March 12th, average price. I just looked at the low of the day because I don't have the average price. I looked at the low at the day and I said, okay, let's say they got it all at the low of the day. It's still $531,000, a little over $500,000. That you got to write a check for. Do you need to write a check that big to signal to the market, or is this for you? That feels like it's for the insiders. So I like that. And TNT at the bottom there, 34,000 shares split over 2 days, March 5th and March 9th. That's roughly about $213,000 that the insiders have paid for. So when we're looking at insider purchases, you have to sort of look at the size of the purchase they're making and say, if you're just sending a signal, was that size necessary? And if it's way too big to be necessary, well, then that means they're buying it because they want to buy it. They want to own that. So I'm comfortable with those. Let's have a look at the charts of the first two, ABR and APS. Here's ABR over here. You can see that this is going back. These are daily candles. This is going all the way back to last August. And you can see it was fairly constant, right around the average price here is about just above 12.50. It hit highs in the almost at 16, but it topped out twice around 15.50. Look at that, 8.50. You're talking 45% down, and an insider steps in and buys 800,000 shares. Bought 800,000 shares at a higher price at 10.60. This is now 8.50. I've had this position for a very long time. I owned this when it was paying 12 cents a share per quarter. It's now 30 cents a share per quarter. So I think I bought it low fives, 5 and change. Yeah, it looked like it was heading back to my very first purchase price. But as it was dropping, because I know the business model so well, I was comfortable stepping in. And again, so are the insiders. The second one is APTS, and you can see that it's really pulled back as well. It sort of had the same pattern up here, right around $15, and now it's down to $8.13. These are quarterly payers. You can see this one here is 30 cents a quarter. Here we're at 26 and a quarter cents per quarter. If we look at APTS on further back, and this is what got me interested in this one. If we go back 5 years, it looked like it had some nice action happening in 2017, and then it sort of just all faded away. So I started looking into it, and yeah, it's got some issues. It's got some it doesn't have property issues. It looks like it has more of cash flow issues and management issues. They've got huge preferreds sitting in front of the common, and huge preferred dividends that they're paying out. with interest rates being so very, very low, by the way, if the management of this company is listening to me right now, with interest rates being this low, it would be irresponsible not to borrow money and retire some of those higher cost preferreds. Let's get that out of the way, make the common shareholders happier, right? But those two big insider purchases, give me faith. If you're looking for insider purchases yourself, you can go right to Edgar. Let me see if I can get that up on the screen for you. Edgar is the SEC site for all filings, and I'll just slide that over onto the screen for you, and we'll just back it up so that I can show you how to get there from the beginning. This is the landing page. If you type in EDGAR into Google, you'll find Edgar. Click on that. You can go over to this little box here, and you could type in the ticker. So let's do something more common, AAPL. Let's have a look at Apple. And when you do that, you'll get to all of the filings that it makes. Here's the filing that you want, the 13G, A, and there's another one with a D. But if you just want to sort them into that, you could just go here and type in SG, and there's, we don't need the D, we'll go with 13G. And it'll sort them, these are it says here, statement of acquisition of beneficial ownership by individuals. So these are insider purchases. The G is just a general filing. A means amended. If there's a D in there somewhere, it means that there is a derivative component to the insiders, to what they're disclosing. Contrary to popular belief, insiders can trade in the stock. They can buy and sell. They do have blackout periods where they cannot buy and sell. In front of big announcements, they have blackout periods, but it's typical for insiders to sell on a schedule. So you'll typically see more selling by insiders than buying because, well, that's natural. I have a whole bunch of shares. I'm the CEO. At some point, I'm going to want to monetize that. That's natural, and most of them will sell their shares on a schedule that every quarter they're going to sell so many regardless of what the price is. And when they're buying, well, that's the other way around. So that's sends a nice signal. So you can, whatever company you have, if you want to know if there's insider purchases or insider sales going on, you can go right to Edgar. You can also Google this, insider purchases, insider sales. There's lots of websites that track this. I don't know how accurate a lot of them are, and I don't know how much accurate or relevant or up-to-date information you're going to get. That's for you to decide, but there's lots of sites that do that. So last week, if you're looking at certain things, if you're looking at certain stocks saying, is now the time to buy, maybe do a quick search to see, well, hang on, are the insiders buying? And if they're not buying, you kind of have to scratch your head and say, well, hang on a second. If it's such a good deal, how come you're not buying? And if they are buying, how big is that purchase? The two, or at least the three that we looked at here. Let's just click back over here. 800,000, 500,000, 200,000. I feel pretty good about that. So just, I thought I'd throw that out there, a little bit of, just one little piece of the puzzle that, can give you a little bit more security if you feel like stepping out and buying something. If the insiders are doing the same thing, I feel that I'm in good company at that point.